I'll just go right through, Lindsay.
Hey, yeah, okay, great. Thanks, Lacey. And I mean, I can't emphasize how important this is because we're talking about a high ticket product, yada, yada. But what if like that high ticket product has to be good, right? Like that's like the whole backbone of this entire business. So I have to backtrack a little bit and I need to talk about the problems with our drinking water. I promise you this is important and like I'll kind of get more into the product after a few slides, but just stick with me here. Water is a really key component of our health. And most people think about food and lifestyle or do yoga, stress reduction before they even think about water. And not all water is created equal. That's something that I really wasn't aware of until I got into this. A lot of the water that we have access to is actually doing more harm than good for our bodies. We need water to carry nutrients to our cells to aid in digestion, flush out toxins, and is really key to our bodies and brains functioning adequately. So proper hydration is the foundation of our health, right? You wouldn't put orange juice into a car and expect it to run. It's kind of the same for our bodies. However, our bodies want to survive, right? Like my car sitting in my driveway right now doesn't like care to survive. I can fill it up with orange juice and it's just going to stop working. If we put the wrong stuff into our body, I'm really grateful. My body is going to still survive, but that won't work long term. It will eventually break down, right? Our bodies know how to survive. We want our bodies to not just survive, we want to thrive. The human body is comprised of over 70% water. Some estimate that's even higher than that. And 75% of people are actually chronically dehydrated. Dehydration shows up in so many ways: lack of energy, stamina, decrease in athletic performance, a decrease in the ability to rid ourselves of waste and toxins, brain fog, declines in cognitive abilities, a decrease in memory that actually goes up as you get older, headaches, body aches, and most people can't distinguish the difference between feeling hungry and feeling thirsty. So what do? They eat more food, but they're actually really thirsty. 75% are walking around thirsty, dehydrated, and they really don't know how good they're capable of feeling. If you were to drink the right amount of the right water, you'd be shocked at how good you feel. Maybe you've done it before. You know, it's kind of like if you've been chronically sleep deprived, like if you're a mom of an infant, you know what I'm talking about. And then you actually start to sleep and you can really feel the difference. It's the same thing with our water. You're going to have brighter eyes, glowing skin, no headaches. You're going to feel sharp and energized, and really everything deep down on a cellular level is going to be working better. All right, so let's just drink more water, right? Unfortunately, most tap water has a ton of problems. Heavy metals, radioactive materials, pharmaceuticals, birth control are frequently found in municipal tap water. If you want to know exactly what's in your tap water, there's this link here. If you've got your notebook, you can write that down. The EWG tap water database. You put your zip code in and it's going to put out results of what's actually in your tap water and how much of that is in there. So it's not just like the few times we've heard on the news, like this area has, problems with their tap water. This is like tap water everywhere, not just like newsworthy, problems with tap water. This is just an example of what you might find if you go to the EWG and put in your zip code. So for this example, I feel like this was somewhere in Texas off the top of my head, but just go in and do it for yourself. It's an example of what you might see. So like, let's look at this. Arsenic comes up in this water. And this is saying that it's 122 times the EWG's guidelines of what a quote unquote safe amount of arsenic is in your drinking water, right? That's like horrifying and shocking right there. A potential health effect for all of these is cancer. Currently, 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. Obviously, there's certain things we can't control that's in our environment, but one thing that we absolutely 100% can control is the quality of the water that we're putting into our bodies and our families' bodies. All right, so just go get some bottled water, right? That's gonna solve the problem. No. Bottled water has a lot of problems. And frequently people go to grab bottled water because they know their tap water is so bad, but they're just actually running into a lot of the same problems and then even more problems. Bottled water in general, it's not cleaner, it's not safer, it's not healthier than tap water. Actually, the government has more standards and testing for tap water than it does for bottled water. 64% of bottled water in the US is just tap water in a bottle. 1 in 5 states don't regulate bottled water at all. 33% of bottled water violates water quality standards. And then just to touch on like the environmental aspects, which we're not even getting into tonight, but bottled water contributes to the plastic epidemic. Most bottles are not recycled. You might even be kidding yourself if you think your bottles are being recycled. Like where I live in Florida, the recycling center will take bottles, but then they put them in the garbage because they don't actually recycle them. And that's really, really common across the US. And then just to put the water into the bottle uses up to 2,000 times more energy than tap water production, not to mention the environmental issues with where they're pulling the water from, right? I'm in Florida and it's like a huge issue here because we have these beautiful springs, the Florida aquifer, and the bottled water industries are, pumping that water out. So it can cause a lot of environmental problems. On top of that, a study by Forbes found that microplastics are present in 93% of bottled water. There's estimates that we consume up to 5 grams, which is like a credit card in weight, of plastic per week. And most of that comes through drinking water. Microplastics are teeny tiny pieces of plastic that are highly toxic to the body. They contain neurotoxins, carcinogens, and they disrupt the hormones within the body. And the place where the most microplastics are hanging out, where we're consuming them, is bottled water, right? If you look at this chart, you're, according to this, better off drinking beer when it comes to microplastics than bottled water, right? So that's the #1 way that we are getting plastic into our bodies. Most bottled water, it's not fresh in the bottle. It's been sitting there for sometimes years in heat, soaking into the water, all of those plastic chemicals.
I would love to add something there. I just was at 7-Eleven on my way up somewhere, and I took a photo and I posted it on social media. Bottles, cases and cases and cases of water. And it's summer right now in New York, sitting outside in the front, like on display, like Poland Springs, all these different types of water outside in the blazing heat. And we know that heat will leach those, estrogens into the water. I was like, I cannot. And then they'll put it in the fridge and it'll be like, oh no, it's cold. No, it sits outside on these trucks and in front for days and days and days. So just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, like when I did drink bottled water, people would say like, oh, make sure it doesn't sit in your car because like the heat, like it's bad for the bottle. Well, what about the last 5 years that it's been sitting in heat, right? It's terrible. And it's super expensive, right? We complain about the price of gas. Like, look at the price of water. Dasani breaks down to being $12 a gallon, right? Over 15 years, if that's what you're drinking, you're going to be spending over $32,000 on bottled water. Where our product, which we keep tapping on, and we're going to be getting into more, I promise, super soon. Yeah, it's more of an investment up front, but then that's what you pay. So over time, you're really paying pennies per gallon to access water that's much, much, much better for you. All right, what about RO, reverse osmosis water? Super popular. I talk to tons of people that have RO systems in their house. RO does a great job at cleaning water, but it's so good at it that it actually strips all of the minerals out of the water. Minerals are, and electrolytes, which are certain types of minerals, are so important for the body. The body cannot function without proper minerals, and the minerals that are in water are much more bioavailable to our bodies than minerals that are found in food. When we don't receive the proper minerals in our water, our bodies actually leach electrolytes from the soft tissue of our intestines. This process is inflammatory, it increases stress hormone levels, and it's terrible for the cardiovascular system. You know, your heart can't function without magnesium, potassium, and calcium. So it's terrible for your cardiovascular system. This is a crazy fact. When using RO water, the water will leach 60 to 80% of the minerals out of the food. And the water is so aggressive at leaching minerals that it's been shown to leach heavy metals into the water as it runs through metal pipes. I know people have mixed feelings about the World Health Organization, but I think it's important to note that they state that RO water should not be consumed. Okay, the other popular device that I frequently come across is people who uses a gravity water filter. I don't want to like talk brands, but like maybe you've seen one of these, maybe you have one sitting on your counter. The issue with these devices, first of all, they tend to not be very convenient because you're constantly having to put water into it rather than turning on the faucet. But a lot of third-party testing has shown much more aluminum in the water that you're drinking than the source water. So how is it possible? How is water being added in through the filtration process? It's because they use activated alumina in the filtration, because what it does is it draws out the fluoride from the water. So your water in your cup is fluoride free. However, this can lead to residual aluminum actually in your water. And it's not in every single cup, but it's been shown over and over to be an issue, and it has to do with your source water. So that's something to be very cautious about, because we do not want aluminum in our bodies, right? Aluminum is linked to neuroinflammation, dementia, Alzheimer's disease. It's not meant to be within our bodies. Plus, there's no therapeutic properties of the water, which I'm going to be talking about now. Okay, I know we're talking a lot tonight. There's a lot of information here, but I'm going to present you the solution to our drinking water. This is our high ticket product, and you can see how incredible this product is. No pun intended. This business wouldn't hold water if the product wasn't good. So let's talk about it. I'm going to talk about a little bit about Enagic, the company that creates these Kangen water ionizers, and really the incredible properties of this water and why so many of us are passionate about sharing it with the world. Enagic's been around for a long time. All right, this isn't a company that's been around for 5 years or a decade. They've been around since the mid 70s. Next year is actually their 50th year celebration. And Lacey actually just told me that they actually have a 400-year business plan. They've been around for a while, and they plan on being around for a long time, right? I can't even think 400 years from now. What they did is that they aimed to mimic the molecular structure of water in people who lived in blue zones. So people who are living to be over 100 years old, 120 years old. They wanted to know what these people were drinking, right? Usually people think about what they're eating, right, when we talk about blue zones, but they looked at what these people were drinking, and they aimed to mimic that water. They are an OEM manufacturing facility. That's an original equipment manufacturing facility. What that means is they're not outsourcing products. They don't need to get, this part from so-and-so and whatnot. They have full quality control over every single thing that goes into their machines. And one technician creates each machine. I think that is so cool. This is not like an assembly line where someone's just really tired and just putting something on it and they're going by, like one technician, two hands on each machine. And then they have, I want to say it's 26 or 27 different quality insurance checks where they go through the machine to make sure it's up to their standards. These were meant for the hospitals. These were not meant to be in our homes. The first decade plus, they were only in hospitals, and people would actually fill up, bring jugs to the hospitals to bring it home because they found that the water was so helpful for them. Enagic's a member of the Direct Selling Association. They are an accredited member of the Better Business Bureau, and they have the gold standard seal from the Water Quality Association. They have 42 global offices, which means that wherever you are in the world, there is a local office, right? You don't need to call Japan, where Enagic's based out of, which I've had people ask me before. I think it's a great question. Nope, there's local offices, right? My office is personally Florida, and I'm pretty much on a first name basis with them over there because they've been so wonderful and supportive of me over the last 3.5 years. Okay, so here's just some of the certifications that they have. They're in currently over 300 plus Japanese hospitals, 32,000 restaurants, 1 in 500 homes in the US. They're endorsed by 6,000 plus doctors, and there's over 1 million Conger water machines worldwide, and they're just being sold more and more. And, you know, I kind of think about it like juicers. Like nobody owned a juicer 2 decades ago, right? And then now like everyone owns a juicer or like a Vitamix blender, right? It's like the new thing. And they just kind of slowly get into more and more households until they're just like a regular household item. Like you can't live without your, you know, your Vitamix blender. Okay, so we talked a lot about filtered water and dehydration. That's all really important, but that's not what excites me or anyone that sells these machines about what this water is. Most people don't know that a glass of water actually has the ability to really improve your health beyond dehydration. It can fight off disease, strengthen the immune system, boost athletic performance, speed up recovery times, reduce and prevent inflammation in the body and the brain, prevent cognitive decline and dementia, reduce stress-related detriments on the mind and body, assist the brain in recovering from brain-related injuries, and so much more. I know that those are like huge claims to make. How is that possible? That, you know, is this like magic water? It's all about the H2 that's in the water. H2 is molecular hydrogen. Molecular hydrogen is a safe and odorless gas that acts as a very, very powerful but safe antioxidant. It's so powerful that 1 glass, which I actually have here right now with me, of this water has the equivalent antioxidants levels as eating 1 bowl of blueberries. So every time you go to drink water, you're loading your body up with antioxidants. So H2 reduces oxidative stress, not only by direct reactions with strong oxidants within the body, but also indirectly because our body is capable of producing its own antioxidants. And there's certain pathways like the NRF2 pathway that's activated, and the water actually not only supplies the antioxidants, but it also boosts our body's ability to produce antioxidants. H2 can penetrate any cell in the body, and it can cross the blood-brain barrier. That's why it's great for your brain. And, you know, it works, but it also lacks adverse effects. H2 is incredibly safe. It's being shown to be used for all sorts of diseases and for preventative measures. And if you have so much in your body that you don't need it, you just exhale it out as a gas. So it doesn't store up, it doesn't build up in the body or anything over that. And there's currently over 2,000 publications that are showing the benefits, which really excites me because when I started this 3.5 years ago, I think it was like 900 or 8 and some odd 100 studies. So like the studies are catching up. We've known for decades now, since Enagic's been around since the mid-70s, right, that this water works. The science has taken more time to catch up. They used to think that it was the pH of the water. And that's why there became that whole craze of like alkaline water. And then they were like, that's actually not what it is. It has to do with the molecular hydrogen in the water, which you cannot buy in a bottle. I cannot emphasize that enough. This happens because the machine plugs in and the water is essentially zapped with electricity. So there's an exchange in electrons with the platinum plates that are in the electrolysis chamber. You cannot, like I said, you cannot buy this in a bottle. It has to be made with electricity, and it needs to be fresh because that gas gets infused into the water and then it will escape over time. Fresh is best, but like, you know, up to a day, maybe 36 hours, it'll stay in the water. All right, that was a little side note, but I thought it was important. H2 and antioxidation. All right, so we're exposed, bombarded really to free radicals through everyday living. Stress, the pollution in the air, environmental toxins, sleep deprivation, EMFs, right? Poor diet, hard exercise. We always have free radicals within our body. Free radicals are unstable. What they do is they steal electrons from healthy atoms. What happens then is oxidative stress occurs when there's just an overwhelming amount of free radicals that are attacking the healthy cells within the body. And this causes cellular damage, inflammation, disease, hurts the DNA within our bodies, premature aging, and so forth. H2 acts as a very powerful and selective antioxidant. So we need some free radicals actually for our cells to function. Those free radicals are not blocked, essentially. That's why the word selective is really, really important here, and you'll always see it with H2. It goes where it needs to go, and it doesn't go where we don't want it to go. How do we know how many antioxidants are in this water? There's this really cool device. Maybe you've heard of it. It's called an ORP reader. I had no idea what it was until I started drinking ionized water. But basically, it's this little device, and you put a probe into whatever it is you want to know what the antioxidant levels are in, and it's going to spit out a number. A really negative number means that it is a strong antioxidant. A really positive number, so it's kind of inverted with what you might think. A really positive number means that it's oxidizing, it's aging, it's got free radicals. And just look at this. Kangen machines, molecular hydrogen has a really, really negative ORP. Bottled water, tap water, high ORP, meaning aging you potentially. What's really important is that H2 is so small, and the molecular weight of it is so tiny. This is like a little bit of a visualization here, that it can get where it needs to go, right? Like none of this matters if it can't get where you need it to go. It can, like I said, it can get into the brain, and it gets into the cells, and it like works within the cells. So it works on the mitochondria, for example, within the cells. All right, this next page, this is like my favorite slide. I know it's like chaotic and crazy, but like to me, it's not good enough to just be like, oh yeah, like molecular hydrogen works, right? Like, no, I want to know like, how does it work? Where does it work? And why does it work that way? So luckily we have amazing, you know, scientists and people doing research that are figuring this out. So on the left side here, I've listed out major things that H2 has been shown to do within the body. It recycles cell parts, it gets rid of non-functioning cells, it prevents cell death, it helps the mitochondria, it keeps integrity in the mitochondria, it inhibits oxidation, it impacts the way blood flows, how genes are expressed, it's anti-aging, it boosts the body's immune system, it's anti-inflammatory, it reduces swelling. So in the green boxes, those are all those effects that I talked about. And then the yellow boxes, I know it's like looking at a foreign language, but it's just showing you like why, right? Like why does it have an antioxidant effect? Not just because somebody says so, but if you look at the yellow boxes, these are the different ways that molecular hydrogen is having those effects. it's not one of those things that's like, trust us, this is a great product because we say so. Like, this is showing the science between this high ticket product and why it's so amazing. All right, don't take our word for it. I want you guys to do the research yourself. If you're intrigued by this, don't just go onto Google. What you should do is go to PubMed or Google Scholar, put in keywords like electrolyzed reduced water, molecular hydrogen, electrolysis. Maybe you want to know about the impact on, your brain, for example. So you might put in molecular hydrogen and brain, or molecular hydrogen and cancer, right? Those are the ways to look and see the studies that are actually out there. Highly suggest that you do this. I'm going to be super brief with this because I really hope you guys do your own research, but just some research snapshots. When it comes to aging, H2 has been shown to prevent premature aging, right? We don't want to like mutate. We want to age naturally the way our bodies should be. And H2 ensures that we do that. When it comes to skin, it's been shown to be very effective for acne, for eczema, psoriasis, herpes, even reducing wrinkles. Like, people fill up bowls with this water and like stick their head in. Might sound crazy if you're in your 20s on this call, but I'm 41. If you're that age, you will stick your face in water as well, and blow bubbles to get that water on your face, right? It's been shown to reduce allergies, boost athletic performance. One of the cool ways it does it is that you recover faster. And if you are an athlete or no athlete, you know that recovery is like a huge part of the game, because you can't work out and lift and train if you're spending tons of time recovering. So it's going to make your recovery time quicker. Been helpful for type 1 and type 2 diabetes, brain health, brain injuries, everything from like concussions to neurodegenerative diseases, both treating and preventing, and mental illness. I did a whole call on this in the past, Lacey. Maybe we'll have to dig it up, on depression and anxiety and how the water works for that. Healing liver damage, helping with cancer, being shown to halt tumor growth and convert cancer cells back into normal cells. Also helping people get through the chemo process and minimizing what they're going through, and helping them through that. Improving reproductive health. And I have a whole list of things here on the bottom because I was like, I could take 10 pages doing this, but tons of research. I hope I'm going to pass this back over to Lacey, but hopefully this got you guys as excited about this product, because like I said before, a high ticket product, you need it to be good. And this one is really, really good. And not just because I say so, but the science and the research that's behind it. Thanks, Lacey.